So, the Mavericks still fighting for their playoff lives, and they are in Philadelphia, who has been on a kind of down stretch here without James Harden and some really rough losses here and there, as they had a chance at the second seed, but they are pretty much locked into the third seed as of right now. And the Mavericks started off really hot and urgently, which is exactly what you want to see from them. But the great equalizer, the three-pointer, was there for the Philadelphia 76ers. As D'Anthony Melton and Georges Niang were hitting threes left and right, and it brought and helped Philly stay in this game for as long as possible until everyone gets going. And Luka gives the Mavs here a 12-point lead. And it really felt like the Mavs were finally gonna get something done here, but before the end of that second quarter, the Sixers got into the lead, got it down to a 5-6 point lead, and then it was just, the advantage from this first half that the Mavs created was just not good enough, and Georges Niang continues to splash, and it was a tie game heading into this fourth quarter, where both teams really struggled offensively, but Joel Embiid finally got going here as he pulled up from the patented mid-range spot and from the patented Harden Embiid pick and roll. Tyrese Maxey was attacking mismatches and closeouts all night long, and he was spectacular as he's been just simply hooping, man, lately. He's been playing his best basketball at the right time, and Luka makes it a 3-point game here with a step back, but with the way Mavs offense was working in this fourth quarter, it was a little too late, and Embiid blocks him here at the rim and ends the game effectively. And the Mavs offense was just nasty. There were some really tough shots, which is expected with a Luka and Kyrie team, right? Because you go ISO and you take tough shots, and sometimes you make them, sometimes you don't make them, and you live with the results. And they lived with the results tonight, and it wasn't pretty. As I said, the Sixers are pretty much locked into this third seed right now with a 2.5 game lead on the Cavaliers. I feel like they're not gonna get caught here with 6 to 7 games left. As for the Mavericks, they are now a game behind Oklahoma City, and of course, game and a half, 2 games behind everyone else, and they will have a rough schedule as they don't have a tiebreaker with Oklahoma City, so they need to overtake every other team. They can't be tied with the Thunder because they have lost the tiebreaker with them, and it's really rough. They play the Heat and Atlanta on a back-to-back, which is not easy, of course. Then against Sacramento at home, against Chicago at home, and against the San Antonio Spurs at home. So you expect at least 2 wins for sure, but you're gonna need probably 4 to be, quite honest with you at worst. So it's not looking good with the Mavericks, man. It's not looking good, and I feel like we're seeing them missing the playoffs this year. It really does feel that way, but of course you don't want to call it out earlier because they can beat the Kings at home, they can win against the Bulls at home, they can win against the Spurs at home, but with the way they have been playing, it's not guaranteed, right? And even if they win those 3 games, it doesn't have to, guarantee them a play-in spot even. So, especially, with Oklahoma City winning at the buzzer tonight. As for the Sixers, overall, it was an ugly offensive game, but the free ball kept them in it. They were 17 of 36, 5 of 6 from Melton, 4 of 7 for Georges Niang, as they were both spectacular and kept the Sixers in this game, with James Harden struggling in his return, 15 and 12. Tyrese Maxey had 22, he was great. Embiid, not the dominant performance we're used to seeing lately, but he was still really good and really impactful. Tobias Harris had his moments at least, but it was mostly about the bench mob just doing their job, man. And the X factor is PJ Tucker for this team, and he looks washed, man. I'm ready to call it, man, but we'll see, but it does not look good. He's gonna be the X factor. If he can be, knock down corner threes and can be the enforcer in the playoffs that he has been throughout his career, then of course the X factor, he can help them win the championship. But with the way he's been looking, I don't know, man. Doesn't feel that way. As for the Mavs, they started off great, but they turned the ball over way too much in some rough spots, and they also just, I feel like took too many dumb shots in the end, right? And fouled way too much, of course. The Sixers got to the free throw line way more and scored 11 more points from the free throw line, which of course helps a lot. And Luka 24, 10 and 8. Not his best game. He's not been playing that well, but he at least looked like having fun out there. Kyrie started off hot, but then got cold in the second half. Reggie Bullock was bad. Tim Hardaway was solid, but in that fourth quarter, I just don't trust the guy to make the shot. And the bench wasn't good. Just not good enough from anyone. The coaching, the players, it just doesn't look right to me. And I can't give you much more coherent analysis, right? It's too much isolation. It's too much defensive malfunctions with either bad defenders getting blown by way too much or just overall mental lapses or defensively. It's just bad. It's just not a good team in Dallas, it feels like. But they are still mathematically alive, of course, and they have Luka and Kyrie, which of course gives them some sort of aura and a chance. But when you look at it simply from a basketball standpoint right now, they just don't look like a good team. But they can still turn it around with 5 games to go, right? If they win all 5 and look hot heading into the playoffs, then it could be a whole different conversation. But I just don't see it happening.